This is the story about how I became a makeup artist. So I went to school to be a makeup artist about 20 years ago. And when I first went to makeup school, I thought that I wanted to work in film and television. I wanted to work with celebrities, movie sets, TV sets. That was my end goal. But then once I actually got into makeup artistry, I realized that usually in TV and film, you're making people look worse and not better. And I really enjoyed making people look better and not like a goblin, not bald caps and bruises. I really liked the beauty side of the makeup industry. So I decided to get into bridal after I was all done my schooling. Now, like I said, this was like 20 years ago. So when I came out of makeup artistry, back 20 years ago, there was no social media. Facebook had just basically launched. And it wasn't a like business Facebook, it was just finding your friends and stuff. So it was really, really hard to get your name out there about 20 years ago. So when I went to do my makeup artistry, I was about 20 years old. So I didn't really have things figured out very well. I did move to Vancouver. I live in Nova Scotia, so I live right above New York. And I moved to the other side of Canada to do my makeup artistry course. It was quite a long flight to get home, and I had zero money, so I couldn't come home. I actually didn't come home the whole year that I was doing my makeup artistry, and I was pretty homesick, so I decided that I wanted to come back to Nova Scotia after I was all done my makeup artistry. So where I come from is quite a small city. That's why I kind of wanted to go to Vancouver, because I was hoping to go down to LA, work in California and do film and television. But then when I decided to come back to Halifax, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with makeup here, because again, small city, so there isn't a ton going on here. There's no film or television or anything like that. And at the time, like I said, it was really hard to get your name out there, but I decided to try bridal. So I come back to Halifax. Because it was so hard to get your name out there, I actually decided to go back to university. I always had been interested in being a dental hygienist. I really liked the dental field, and I was kind of in between makeup and dental hygiene. So I said, okay, you know what? I've already got my makeup. I can do that on the side. I'm gonna go back and do dental hygiene, and I'm gonna do dental hygiene until I can do makeup artistry full time, so I have something to fall back on financially. I didn't want to be, a suffering makeup artist and be so desperate for clients, especially when you're first starting out. It's just a horrible feeling. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go back, do 4 years in university, and then after I do that, I can just do makeup on the weekends. But I did want to make it my full-time job, but I just felt like I needed something financially to fall back on. I don't have any financial help. My parents don't have any money, so I had to do everything myself. So again, it was important for me to have some financial stability. And thankfully, I went back and did my dental hygiene. While I was in school, I worked at a restaurant as well. I think I was the only one in my class that actually had a job because the schooling was really intense, but I made it work and did a little bit of makeup on the side. After I became a dental hygienist, I really started focusing on working as a full-time makeup artist. So I started doing wedding shows, like those big wedding shows that you pay for, and those were really successful for me. Again, there wasn't a ton of social media at that time. Even Instagram was more of just like a photo app, wasn't really for promoting your business necessarily. So I had to reach people, and the best way was doing lots of wedding shows. However, this is not the strategy that I would use now if I was trying to get booked. Because of social media, you can do all of that stuff for free. So I started getting really booked up with local weddings, and I was working Monday to Friday as a dental hygienist, and then Saturday and Sunday, as much as I could, I booked weddings. This was pre-kids. So once I had my first child, Penelope, which was almost 11 years ago, during her maternity leave, I did a lot of weddings, and then I went back and did more dental hygiene for about 8 months because I got pregnant pretty much right away as soon as I went back, which was my plan. I wasn't loving being a dental hygienist. I definitely loved being a makeup artist a lot more. I had been working in dental hygiene and not loving it, especially once I had Penelope. I found, well, at that time I was doing 10-hour days, working 10 hours. So I'd leave the house around 7 and get home around 7. And that was 4 days a week. But by the time Friday came, I was exhausted and I was like, no, this is not for me. Once I got pregnant with Remy, I said, okay, I do not want to be away from my kids. It felt really weird to leave the house and be gone for 12 hours and just be away from them so many days a week. I was gone more than I was home, really. I wanted way more time with my kids. I wanted to be able to make my schedule, and I only saw a way to do that through owning my own business. That lovely. Okay, anyways, can't really notice it, right? In Canada, we get a year maternity leave. So I decided with that year maternity leave, I was going to make it my goal that I did not have to go back to dental hygiene. It was a really good time because social media, Instagram was really popular. Social media was really now about getting your name out there. It was more business. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity and really start to promote my makeup artistry business. Because again, I did not want to have to go back to working for someone else, being away from the house. So really that was my main motivation. I'm really lucky that I have my mom that's really close. She's retired. She was helping me with the kids while I was working as well, because my husband worked a 9 to 5 at that time. And I had her come over. I found random people from Instagram and would offer them free makeup if I could do a before and after on them. Now, also at this time, Instagram was purely photos. It wasn't any videos, just no one was posting videos. It was all photos. So I just posted side by side before and afters of my clients. It's my kids running around. And it was like wildfire. I was having random people from the internet coming over about 3 or 4 times a week and just doing before and after. Like I said, my DMs were blowing up with people wanting to book me. Typically throughout the summer, I was booked, but I wasn't fully booked. I would have a couple dates open. So it wasn't something that I could really rely on for a full-time pay. I still needed that dental hygiene. But as I started to post, I was like, I think I'm going to be able to do this full-time because I had multiple people asking for the same date. All of my dates were getting booked up. So it was very, very exciting time. I was really lucky that my son Remy was born in June. So when I had to go back to dental hygiene, it was the beginning really of wedding season. So at that time, I decided not to go back to dental hygiene because I had so many weddings booked. I was like, I know I can get through the next 6 months, and honestly, working full-time dental hygiene and doing that much makeup would have been crazy. I said to the dentist that I was working for that I wasn't going to come back. And anyways, I ended up doing 1 day a week just to keep up my license. And I was still a little bit scared to go full-time because obviously now I have a full family to take care of with my husband, but still, I still needed to make, all around the year income. So I said, yep, okay, I'm just gonna do 1 day a week. And honestly, even just 1 day a week was such a struggle because I was getting so busy with makeup. I really saw that how much posting content was doing for my business. So I doubled down that whole summer. I became addicted to making content because it was literally propelling my business so far ahead. Every single time I made content, it was crazy. I was getting followers. I was, again, getting so many people trying to book my services that I let go of that 1 day of dental hygiene a few months after I had said yes to it because I was actually turning down so much weekday work. Doing dental hygiene financially didn't make sense because I was making more money taking the day off and doing makeup. So like I said, people were booking me during the week, weddings, makeup lessons. I was just getting booked for everything. And then I was like, okay, I can actually let go of my makeup artistry or my dental hygiene license. I was really confident that I would have enough work. I still kept my dental hygiene license because, again, I was scared. I didn't want to go with nothing. But I haven't relicensed that in probably 6 years. So for me, content, really good content, equaled making money and being busy. So all of a sudden I found myself as a full-time makeup artist instead of a dental hygienist. And I was making way more money as a makeup artist than I was as a dental hygienist. I think anytime you have your own business and you're not working for someone else, you're usually going to make more money. So now for the past about 7 years, I have been a full-time makeup artist. And my business has changed quite a bit. I mean, I always had goals of getting booked for destination weddings, getting booked constantly, and having so many people beating down my door that I could raise my prices, which is what has happened. I have three weddings in Italy this year, Mexico, Dominican Republic. You know, I'm being flown all over the place. I am doing master classes. Like, my business has just absolutely exploded. And I do think all of that, I think all of that comes from putting in a lot of work, obviously, but the content that I made always has propelled my business forward. So I am always thinking about making content. One of my big goals when I did start to do really well in makeup artistry was that my husband would stay home with the kids and I would be able to work my job. I'm always wanting a better family work balance. And I found when my husband was working, it was really hard for us to do things as a family because my schedule was all over the place. He was working more of a Monday to Friday. He wasn't able to travel with us when I would get booked for things, so I was bringing my mother. So last year, my husband left his job. And honestly, it's just been the best thing ever. Now we get to travel together. He's here to take care of the kids when I am traveling for work. I know they're taken care of. You know, my mom's getting older, and so are his parents, so I can't really rely on them as much just because, you know, they're in their 70s and 80s now. But I'm here to tell you that you can absolutely make this a full-time career if you work hard at it and you know kind of how to build your business. That's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur is, like, you don't just get to do your makeup artistry, you also have to run a business, and a lot of people don't want to do that. I was someone who really, really didn't like to have someone tell me what to do when I was working, because I've always been a really good hard worker. Even when I was a teenager working at McDonald's, I always was doing extra things and working really hard. So bosses just like have to micromanage you, and I hated that. I definitely am someone who's better working for myself. And now that I provide income for the whole household, it's a lot of pressure, but I am pretty much just always working now. But it doesn't feel like work because it's something that I really love to do, but I'm always kind of coming up with new ideas. Now I actually even have a whole education platform where I'm teaching other makeup artists how to build up their business, the strategies that I've used. So I've got that. I'm working with brands, and I'm still doing makeup on people. So if you guys are a makeup artist or you're wanting to get into the makeup industry, I can say that I've had a little bit of a long journey because of how long ago I started, but it's much easier now to get yourself out there through social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I just started my YouTube channel a couple weeks ago. I have been on TikTok and Instagram forever, posting on there forever. But now I'm coming over to YouTube because a lot of people are asking me to create a YouTube channel. So here I am. And if you guys have any, like I said, if you're just getting started and you have any questions, you're thinking about going into the beauty industry and you have any questions, just drop them in the comments, or if you're struggling with anything, and I'm going to respond and try and help you guys through this crazy journey.